Hi, I'm Femi OK. You're in the stream. Today, as a controversial registry could leave 4 million people in India stateless, we ask why. Tweet us your thoughts, and you too can be right here in the stream. The citizenship of 4 million people in India's Assam region is in limbo after their names were left off a recent draft of the country's National Register of Citizens, or NRC. Supporters of the registry say that it helps identify illegal immigrants who cross India's porous border with Bangladesh. But opponents say the list is politically motivated and a way for the ruling BJP to maintain a Hindu majority in the state. Muslims make up 1/3 of Assam's population. So joining us from India to talk about all of this, we have Rana Ayyub. She's a journalist and a writer. Samujjal Bhattacharya is the chief advisor and spokesperson for the Assam Students' Union. Amlan Das, an Assamese resident. And we also have Pawan Kera. He's a spokesman for the Indian National Congress Party. Good to have you here, everybody. Rana, if you could explain to outsiders what the National Registry for Citizens actually is in Assam, how would you do it?
I mean, this is a register which has evolved over decades, kind of figuring out kind of understanding who the immigrants in Assam are. Now, Assam has seen a maximum influx of migrants from Bangladesh since the 1971 war, who have stayed in Assam for generations. Their families have stayed here. And this is an ethnic conflict. And over a period of time, political parties have kind of stoked this conflict for communal purposes. In 1983, we saw one of the worst massacres against Muslims, the Nelly massacre, which when politicians stoked communal tensions in a predominantly ethnic divide. What we are seeing right now, the NCR, the National Register, it is a very arbitrary process, because now you have it's being called as perhaps one of the biggest disenfranchisement exercise, wherein close to 4 million have been left out of the list. Some of them include the family members of the former president of India. These include army men. It seems to be a very arbitrary process.
Right.
Also, this issue has become, more than the ethnic divide, more than the issue about somebody who is Assamese and non-Assamese. As it stands in the present day, it has been made into an issue of who is a Muslim Bengali and who is a Hindu Bengali.
Rana, I'm not going to allow you to debate the entire conversation all by yourself, but thank you. That's a sterling introduction. Amlan, I'm just trying to think about there's something about the state of Assam that people really need to know, the breakdown of the different ethnicities. How would you say that in shorthand so people outside understand?
Yes. So the state of Assam is, so the current debate revolves around who actually is an Assamese and who
isn't. Yes, exactly.
And this is something that has been happening for quite some time. And unfortunately, as I think, you might just be aware of the fact that it's a part of the country which has often been neglected, or it's not a part of the mainland India. It's from the northeastern region. So there is a very few people who are actually aware of the ethnic composition of the state of Assam. Assamese is also a language which we speak, but Assamese doesn't identify the speakers who only speak that language. It includes a lot of tribes who stay in the, if I'm not wrong, there are 20 listed tribes who reside in the state of Assam. At the same time, there are Bengali-speaking population. And over time, a lot of Hindi-speaking as well as Marwari-speaking population have also ventured into the state. And I must be very clear over here, the Sylheti language, which is often been associated with the Bengali Muslims or the so-called immigrants, is also one of the languages that's being spoken in the southern part of Assam. So the true essence of an Assamese community is not just the people who speak Assamese, but also the people who have been residing there for ages, for centuries. And we all combine, all tribes, all linguistic groups combine together to form the Assamese community.
Samujjal, I want to share a tweet with you. This tweet comes from Arin, and Arin says the official rationale for the NRC is that illegal immigrants have altered the demographics of Assam, but there's no reliable data despite census and strict border control. It's hard to understand their logic. Do you understand the need for there to be a register so you can actually say you are Indian or you're not Indian?
Yes, well, the National Register of Citizens of Assam is not a new document. after India got independent in 47, the National Register of Citizens of 1951 was prepared as per the first census of India. So it in 1951 NRC was prepared as per the census report, first census report of our country. So a National Register of Citizens is not a new document. It was prepared in 1951. Now, but it was not updated. Now it is updated as per the Assam Accord. You know, there was a historic Assam movement to solve this vexed foreign national problem in Assam. And after that historic Assam movement, the Assam Accord was signed. And during that Assam movement, more than 855 people have sacrificed their life. They are the martyrs of the Assam movement. Thousands became physically handicapped. People have sacrificed a lot. And after that, the Assam Accord was signed in between Government of India, Government of Assam, the All Assam Students Union, and All Assam Ganasangram Parishad.
So Samujjal,
so as per Assam Accord, the updating of NRC is on.
If I may,
yes.
Because there's a lot of history here, and I'm just going to help us out so we can move the conversation on a little bit. So this document is not new, but people now are being asked to produce their documents to prove that they are actually Indian. Pawan, let me just bring you into the conversation here. This is what Jerusalem has to say, that the Assam state hasn't negotiated anything with Bangladesh, the neighbour, to take refugees or migrants back. So why would you actually have even a draft list that you're publishing? Because that causes people to be very fearful about what might happen to them.
See,
there is a reason why we are updating the list, the NRC as it is called. This was a commitment made under the accord which brought to end a conflict which took a lot of lives, and therefore the need to honor that commitment. This was made in 1985, and in 2005, it has a long journey, several litigations. 2005, the Congress government revived the issue of NRC.
Yeah.
Again, litigations.
But the question, Pawan, was from the community member was, what provisions have you made with the neighbouring Bangladesh? Because if some people decided you're not Indian, you don't have the documents, where are they going to go?
No, that's a very ticklish question and a very difficult question. I don't think you will get answers from the government. I am from the opposition, though. You will not get answers even from the government of India.
Because why?
Because there are UN treaties that we are signatories of. Bangladesh has already more than indicated that they are not willing to take them back. They haven't said it in as many words, but they've said it that, well, it's an internal matter of India. And I must tell you that we have several illegal immigrants, Indian illegal immigrants in UK, which India refuses to take back. So it's a contradiction in terms. But I would not like to give any suggestion. It has to be the government. The government must come out with a strategy. They've not yet called all parties together, all political parties, all stakeholders together. When the list is finally ready, what is the way out? What does the government plan to do is something which we'll all have to put our heads together. And it's the ball is in the court of this government of the day. They must call everybody. They must involve all the stakeholders and find out a way. It's not so easy. Just prepare a list and say, okay.
It feels like, do you know what it feels like? Samujjal, I hear you. I'm going to go straight to you. It feels like the horses before the cart, or the carts before the horse right now, because the strategy isn't there yet. Samujjal, go ahead.
Yeah. It's a legal process. It's a transparent process, and it is monitored by the Supreme Court of India. That's very important. And it's a question of citizen and non-citizen. The persons who have entered illegally into India, they cannot stay here. But India is for Indians. Assam is for Indians.
And who decides who is entered here illegally?
Assam and India is not for illegal foreigners. That's very clear. India is for Indians, Assam is for Indians, and Assam in India is not for illegal foreigners. That's very clear.
These are people.
Rana, say that one more time, because Samujjal was speaking.
Who decides who is an illegal immigrant? I mean, these are people who have embellished Assamese culture. They have stayed here for generations. You cannot really throw people overnight from a land they call their own. What is the process? I mean,
Yeah.
has the government really explained who a migrant is in this context? Has the government even explained? Has the government explained what is the procedure? Are they going to be sent to detention centers? Are they going to be deported? I mean, international law says that if there are citizens, if there are individuals whose citizenship, it's in a state of dilemma, it's not decided, they cannot be sent into detention centers, they cannot be sent to prisons. What is the game plan what is the plan of action that the Indian government has for these 4 million people? Bangladesh has shown no intention to take them on board. I mean, India has already played, footsie with the Rohingya refugees. I mean, India's line of action, India's entire intention vis-a-vis migrants. I think the ruling government has really displayed no moral compass in the present day issue. You're not expecting 4 million people to find a solution to a problem they have not been able to find over the years to find in the next 1 month.
Yeah, I have
See,
pitch in
Femi, there is a critical aspect to this which we need to.
I hear you all. Let me just do one at a time so I can hear you very clearly. Amlan, you go first. Go ahead.
Yeah,
well, this is from a perspective.
Samujjal, hold tight for a moment. Let me just hear Amlan. Amlan, go ahead.
Yeah, this is from a perspective of someone who is just an average consumer of news or someone who has lived in Assam. The problem that I see these days is that a lot of people who are talking about this whole issue have never really been in the state of Assam or have never really experienced the problems that we have faced. We are a state that is adverse to natural calamities. We are a state that is adverse to a lot of other issues, economic growth included in it. The problem is that it's a continuous process. The influx it has been happening since 1971 and it's still happening. The porous border is still there and it's vulnerable for us to have people coming in all the time. Yes, it's a million. I understand, there's no single plan as to how do you go for detention, and that's something which I think it's beyond my capability to, give a solution. Yeah. But what I feel at this point of time is that if my identity is at threat, if I am concerned, the first process that I would go for is to identify who is who. If I see a settlement coming overnight on a land right next to me, I would like to know who these people are.
So Amlan, just to be clear, so that our audience watching you, they know that you are Assamese, and so you feel that your culture, your identity is at risk because of other people being in your state. What is at risk? What are you losing? What do you feel you're losing right now?
The remotest district that I come from, the most interior regions of Assam I come from, I have my generation of family have stayed there in that village.
Yeah.
We speak a particular dialect. Assamese also has numerous dialects. We speak a particular language, and we know the different other types of language that are being spoken around. When you see over time, in the last 10 to 20 years, the number of people speaking a different dialect or something which is similar to something which is being spoken across the border is increasing, or we see settlements coming up overnight is something that threatens us. And when
I see that. That's a very clear example.
Femi,
thank you. Pawan, go ahead.
Our concern as the leading opposition party of India, as an architect of NRC, I would say, our concern is the manner in which it is being done. That's our objection. There's generational poverty. There is generational illiteracy, loss of documents through annual flooding. So all these aspects need to be focused on. There is a former Vice Chancellor of Assam University, whose name is missing. There are hundreds of thousands of such examples where people who everybody knows belong here are missing. Now, Amlan says that they're outsiders. There have been people who come on tea estates as labor. You can't continue treating them as outsiders. After all, they've been working on your tea estates, on your farms, in your markets for ages, for generations. So you need to distinguish who is it. And Rana asked a very correct question. How do you distinguish?
Yeah.
Documents is one aspect. There are 14 categories of documents. And then there's the legacy data. All that is not so easy for an illiterate person to gather.
And let me give you that example. Samujjal, I'm coming right to you. Let me just give our audience an example of the documentation from the government of Assam. These are the admissible documents. So there's a first requirement. So here's a list of documents here. A second requirement, another list of documents, and points to remember. Obviously, this will be in various different local languages so people can actually understand it. That is a lot for somebody to take on if they didn't go to school, if they're having trouble, or if they're just having to work for a living, don't have time to run around and get all the documents they need in just 1 month. Samujjal, go ahead. What do you have to add?
Yeah, it's a list of citizens. So for your information, the date of detection of illegal foreigner in India is 1948. But in case of Assam, after signing Assam Accord, the 71 is the cutoff date. That means from 48 to 71.
Samujjal, I'm going to bring you up to date because I'm not going to do history. I'm going to do current for you right now. Let me show you something and then you can respond. This is a woman who last week found out that she wasn't on the draft list. So she potentially may not be a citizen of India, although she's lived there, she's grown up there. Have a listen to what she has to say. Go ahead. Let's play that.
I'm extremely upset. My health is getting worse, and if I don't get justice, my children won't be treated as citizens of India. If my name doesn't appear in the NRC list, then their names will not appear either.
This woman is distraught, Samujjal, and there could be up to 4 million people who may be in this same situation. Go ahead.
You know, Femi, when I see these people talking about...
Hold tight, Rana, I want to hear Samujjal.
Their name will be in the NRC. Those who have entered up to 71, he may be Hindu, he may be Muslim, their name will be NRC. It's very clear. And it is monitored by the Supreme Court of India. I'm repeating again, it's a legal process, it's a transparent process, and it is monitored by the Supreme Court of India. Nobody should fear. Who have entered up to 71, Hindus and Muslims, their name will be in the updated NRC.
This 1971 date for you is really important.
They must be deported.
Yeah, they must be out of, because, we hear you very clearly. Nabil Ahmad says this on Twitter. I'm going to put this to you, Rana. These unfortunate people will be victim of political games. Then they will be assimilated as a gesture of kindness and to show how progressive and welcoming India is. So this looks like Nabil sees that there could be a happy ending to this and not mass deportations. Rana?
Well, I wish this is the, I could not agree more with Nabil that at the end, there could be a situation where the Indian government will, perhaps a year later, once the elections are over, say that we have decided to take everybody in our fold and we are a generous country. But the unfortunate bit is if it was something that, if the government was really concerned about the migrant status and about culture and ethnicity of Assamese, it would not be using it as an election issue. The president of the ruling party in India went to inaugurate a railway station in Uttar Pradesh, and he's talking about immigrants in Assam and how he has thrown out Bangladeshi infiltrators. When the Prime Minister of India, when he was about to assume power in 2014, he stoked this sentiment again when he was about to go for the election, saying that we are going to throw out every Bangladeshi immigrant out of Assam. Then he also gave a bizarre argument saying that Assamese rhinoceros are being killed to make way for Bangladeshi immigrants. These are the kind of sentiments you are stoking in Assam to create a kind of conflict. At the end of the day, it boils down to a communal game, which you are going to use. Nobody's really concerned about the NCR or migrants here. Amlan,
go ahead. What were you saying?
Yes, I agree to a lot of points by Rana and as well as Pawan on the process that, there has been a lot of issues in terms of the process. In fact, to be very honest, my name wasn't included in the first draft. My parents' names were there, my sister's names were there, and I had to go to a center and I had to tell them, you know what, my sister who is 5 years younger to me is in the list and my parents' name in there. So it's a long process and yes, I understand.
Amlan, I hope you do realize your privilege here. I hope you do realize your privilege here, that not many are as privileged as you. And how not many are as privileged, are as educated, belong to the Indian middle class setup. There are women who are cancer patients who just spoke on the channel.
If you let me complete my statement, what I was saying is that, but the real reason why I'm speaking here is that I want the nation to identify this issue. Why did it take so long that, when only the final draft of the NRC was published and when 4 million lives were at stake, that, the citizenship will go away, the nation starts talking about the immigrant issue. Why wasn't this being discussed before? Why wasn't it a mainstream?
Femi, I have a point to add to what Amlan just said.
Go ahead.
We cannot label anybody an illegal immigrant at this stage. Our politics may be whatever it is. As responsible political parties, we should stop labeling them as illegal immigrants at this stage. This is just the first stage. There are 2 more stages for verification. But when the president of the ruling party acts irresponsibly and calls them illegal immigrants, the foot soldiers get a license to start calling them names, to start treating them as foreigners, which can be a very dangerous thing, which should really be avoided. And then the politics starts, its own, there are power plays that start happening. There's a reaction from somebody else. That's something which we need to avoid as responsible political parties.
Samujjal.
But Yeah, but it should be very clear that it's a threat to the identity of the language, culture of the indigenous people of Assam. It's a question of citizen and in-citizen. It's not a question of Hindu, Muslim. Non-citizen, non-Indian cannot stay in Assam. Assam is for Indian citizens. That's very clear. And NRC
Samujjal,
yeah,
ASU was a part of the movement which led to this NRC. Samujjal, I completely understand your sentiment. I agree with you. In fact, 1985 accord between ASU, center and state was exactly on these lines. Having said that, let's all act responsibly before, and let's not jump the gun and start calling people foreigners, illegal immigrants, because we should not be playing with this kind of sentiment. We should not stoke sentiments like this. Let's wait for the process. Let's correct the process where it's going wrong. Wait, just a sec. Let's correct the process where it's going wrong. And let's also figure out what next once the list is prepared. What happens then to those people who do not find their names in that list? After all, we are also we are not a banana republic.
Pawan, you make a very good point. Samujjal, let me just ask this to you. Samujjal, hold tight. I'm going straight to you. What do you do if after the final list has been published, there are, let's say, 3 million people who are deemed to be not Indian? They don't have the documentation. What do you want to happen to them?
See, they must be deported. That's very clear. The non-Indians cannot stay in India. As per Assam Accord.
Deported where?
Samujjal, if Bangladesh says no, what happens then?
Bangladesh and by that logic, let all the international countries start deporting.
There has to be a bilateral treaty in between government of India and government of Bangladesh. It's a duty of the government. Assam is not a dumping ground for illegal Bangladeshis.
Absolutely agree with you.
Government of India and government of Bangladesh.
Yes, I love that you're all in good voice so early in the morning in India. Samujjal, let me put this point to you. What if you don't have your documentation? You are Indian, you don't have your paperwork. Should that person, those people also be deported? What if they served in the army?
Not at all. I'm telling you, those who have entered up to 71, he may be Hindu, he may be Muslim, their names will be in the updated NRC. As because it is monitored by the Supreme Court of India. It's very important. It's a legal process, a transparent process, monitored by the Supreme Court of India. Nobody should fear. There is a design to give a color. It's anti-Muslim, it's anti-Hindu, it's anti-Bengali. It's not. It is against illegal foreigners. We should be very clear on that point.
Let me put this to you. I hear you. You've made a very strong, strident point. Rana, let me put this to you here. Ahmed says, Islamophobia and racism is a big problem in India. The government is sitting and watching it all happen and taking no actions. 2019 is the election. Should we be connecting the dots between what's happening in Assam right now and the election next year?
Well, as I said this earlier, Femi, that this has never been an issue about an ethnic conflict. This has never been an issue about the NRC. The issue is about labeling a community as outsiders, infiltrators, which the present-day politicians, which the Prime Minister, his second in command, have made it very obvious. Otherwise, there was no reason that after Assam, the president of the ruling party is saying that they will repeat a similar exercise in West Bengal, the neighboring state. And as the chief minister of the ruling state in West Bengal said that you are in a way trying to start a civil war in India. What if countries? This is Islamophobic. It's Islamophobic not by intent, but to stoke fear that where Muslims and outsiders are going to come to India and ruin your culture. These are people who have been staying here for generations.
It's not correct. It's not correct.
I also differ here. Femi, I disagree with Rana.
I'm going to call on Amlan. We're almost at the end. Amlan, make your point in a sentence. Yes, I hear you, but our audience do not hear you. I'm going to ask you to hold tight. If you've ever watched Indian TV, we are we're channeling it right now. Okay, everybody hold tight. How much time do we have? I think we have about 30 seconds. All right, Amlan, your one sentence to end. What is it?
It is definitely an issue of ethnicity. Yes, it's been tried, it's being painted in a political way, it's being painted as a linguistic war, but calling it, like as Rana said, it's definitely an issue of ethnic identity, it's an issue of ethnicity.
Ethnic identity, I hear you. Amlan, thank you. Pawan, Samujjal, Rana, thank you very much. Audience watching our online community, let me leave you with this comment from Neelay Patel. Millions of Indians living illegally in many countries across the globe. If their respective governments start sending them back, do we have enough space and jobs to accommodate them? Parties should come together and resolve this issue. What do you have to add? You can always find us online at AJ Stream on Twitter. I will see you there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.